Hey, what's going on, you miserable fucking bastards? Before the video starts, I would really appreciate if you help this old man out by liking and subscribing to my channel. I react to a lot of different shit on the internet, and I game like a motherfucker. I'm just gaming. Appreciate it, guys. Alright, so this is called The Rise and Fall and Rise Again of Toonami. If y'all don't know what Toonami is, it's basically like it was a Cartoon Network block that was created in 1998. And it basically introduced a lot of millennials to what anime was, especially the younger millennials, like who were born in the 90s, like I was. Like if you're an older millennial, bro, like that was born in the 80s, then you probably like were able to get maybe access to anime, or maybe you saw like different channels on Cartoon Network or other like, you know, public broadcast channels playing different types of anime, or you were able to go to like secret spots to get like anime DVD, anime cassettes and shit. But for us young kids, back in the 90s, 98, dude, I was 7 years old. Back then, this was all I had. So, yeah, let's run it.
Programming blocks, you'd be hard-pressed to find anything more iconic than Toonami. Not only is there nostalgia associated with it, but there is a legacy that truly spans some generations now that all have their own experiences with it. From the style and attitude that radiated from the bumpers and clips between programs, to the selection of programs themselves that brought you some of the coolest pieces of media. For over 25 years, Toonami has blessed the afternoon and late-night scene for those interested in having an appreciation for Japanese animation. Much like finding so many new programs to get hooked on, Toonami had this ever-evolving feel to it that constantly brought more and more programs to the forefront.
A little bit too fast, my bad.
For you to discover, while offering visuals and aesthetics that invoke both past and present. When you heard the hip-hop inspired beats mixed with the early CG visuals reminiscent of 80s sci-fi, you felt right at home knowing you're going to get some highly memorable experiences through the shows curated for the block. But most importantly, at least to me,
oh man, I remember this. This was like a special block where Tom had to fight some type of alien that invaded the ship, and it was surprising because he fucking died. The guy fucking literally just got devoured by that fucking alien dude. This reddish alien glob shit, and that reintroduced it to Tom 2, which was like a more bulkier, beefier version of the original Tom, which is this guy.
An introduction to anime. I want to celebrate what Toonami has meant to me throughout my life growing up with it, and the programming that truly made it special. So let's take a ride on the Absolution as we look back through the history of Toonami. And see how this programming
that's what the ship was called, bro. I literally forgot the name of the fucking ship. Holy shit, shout out to this guy for remembering the name.
Block rose, fell, and rose again.
Welcome aboard the Ghost Planet Spaceship Absolution. Later.
In the mid-90s, cartoons on TV were at a rising peak for kids across different channels, and kids everywhere were locked into what they were used to always watching.
Dude, there were so many back then there were so many fucking channels where they had so many cartoons. When I mean cartoons, I mean like American-made cartoons and introduction to anime. Toonami was one of them from Cartoon Network. Then you had Kids WB, which introduced they had like Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, but they introduced Pokemon as well. Pokemon, like they got the rights to Pokemon back in like 1998, 7 or 8, around there. And then there's also the Fox Box or Fox Kids. They had rights to like Spider-Man the animated series back then, like from the 90s. They also had X-Men, Iron Man, the Hulk, all that stuff, and they got the right to Digimon in 1999. And then there were also like other channels as well, like Nickelodeon, like Rocket Power, Ren and Stimpy, Cat Dog, stuff like that. It was a galore back then. Hey Arnold, it was crazy. And also like Disney Channel was popping too. Like they had a lot of Disney movies too, a lot of like cartoon Toon Disney and stuff like that, like Goof Troop, fucking Darkwing Duck. It was crazy back then, bro, in the late 90s.
Cartoon Network was looking to add something to their programming lineup that would end up capturing
Weasel,
a new audience and hopefully be of interest to those already on their channel. Enter Cartoon Network executive Mike Lazo, who was trying to jumpstart a new project for Cartoon Network that would be focused on action-based animation. He asked Sean Atkins to help aid in coming up with what this would be, as he would then grab his friend Jason DeMarco to fully plot this out. Both Sean and Jason were heavily in tune with the Japanese animation scene, watching and having a great appreciation for anime, as they wanted to pull from that to bring it to the forefront for Western audiences. Of course, this would be no easy feat to do, since bringing over Japanese content that would be unfamiliar to most watching the channel isn't a guarantee of viewership for the network.
That's Genesis Evangelion right
Mike
there.
Lazo, however, was on board with the vision and wanted to aid with a bit of familiarity that he could offer. Mike had already created a repurposed outlet for the Space Ghost property from Hanna-Barbera, turning it into the odd and fun
Adult Swim is another fucking block that Cartoon Network created. That came 3 years after Toonami was made in 98. This came out in 01. I might react to like the inception of Adult Swim later.
Space Ghost Coast to Coast, a late-night talk show that would be a cartoon aimed at adults that Cartoon Network would pick up as a show to place on their network for late-night time slots, when the channel's target audience would most likely be asleep. Taking from this, Lazo
around
production
midnight
company Ghost Planet would begin building the design of Toonami by...
A lot of people don't realize Ghost Planet was like the precursor to Toonami. The original Toonami host was Moltar. Hopefully they talk about him.
First bringing in the character of Moltar.
This dude.
From the
this
original
red dude right here, this red blue dude, Moltar. He's from Space Ghost, like some type of Space Ghost is like a 1970s or 60s TV show from Hanna-Barbera, long time ago, like during my parents' era. But they took this guy and made him the host of what would be Toonami.
Space Ghost cartoon, and gone is the villain status and his
Johnny Quest
responsibilities on the Coast to Coast show, and welcomed in are his duties as hosting the first incarnation of the Toonami block, along with a sleek new CG look that fits the computer-generated vibe they were going
for. There were only like a 2-hour slot, 4 TV shows back then, Monday through Friday. It was from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The first 2 slots were anime, and the other 2 slots were like American cartoons, a lot of reruns, like you're seeing here, like Thundercats, Justice League, and like whatever this show is
going for.
You
but
know?
To help build what this vibe exactly
this is anime,
came down to Sean and Jason, who were trying to figure out this whole idea. And along came the introduction of another person in the story, Michael Cahill, who would be influential in working with them in these editing sessions of taking hip and newer music sounds, skateboarding clips.
Oh yeah, they did a lot of that. That was so fucking dope back then.
Put them in to create a reel that encapsulates this moment in time that they're in. And boom, the vibe had been created, and the next thought was a host for the whole thing. Originally, to fit the tone, they were thinking that it'd be some sort of AI who accompanies a teenage girl, but the cost associated with this would be out of any allotted budget. So this is where the idea of bringing in Moltar fit perfectly.
Moltar,
much like Space Ghost Coast to Coast, Moltar was voiced by animator and voice actor Clay Martin Crocker. Together, over the next 3 quarters of the year, this group came together to create what they decided on being the combination of cartoon and Toonami.
I'll give you the tour later. Let's get back into it.
After so much time was spent finding the exact vibe, coming up with the perfect name, and being ready to launch this new action block of animation onto the world, the premiere of Toonami on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 1997, from 4 to 6 p.m. didn't really...
Oh no, that was probably their first ever broadcast. It probably didn't go well.
Release with the programming that Sean and Jason wanted to bring over. Many roadblocks stopped them from getting their requested shows to play during their new animation block, having access to one initial Japanese production, Voltron. But in saying that, this was the Voltron
I don't remember Voltron that well, to be honest.
Edited to suit a younger audience with a lot of original stuff cut from it. But this was a start. The network did give them their space to be creative in designing what this whole thing would be, but that doesn't mean it was just smooth sailing through the stars until miracles would happen. Instead, there were worries that each week could be their last week airing Toonami, as Sean would come back from meetings with a level of uncertainty from the higher-ups, with the ratings for Toonami being fine. Not great, just fine. Something was needed to really pull in the audience.
1998 was the year.
Special.
97 was a little bit too early.
Just about to present itself the following year. After only having Thundercats, The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, Voltron, and then Cartoon Roulette, featuring a bunch of older random cartoons being chosen in 1990.
Yeah, Cartoon Roulette, I don't remember. All I remember was just a bunch of fucking random old school TV shows, like cartoons that my parents used to watch. I wouldn't be surprised if Scooby-Doo popped in there a few times. But Scooby-Doo was like a little bit earlier or later, like after Toonami.
1998 proved to be the year that things would start taking off.
Yeah,
having access to the original Super Friends and even Transformers
Super
Beast
Friends
was cool for sure.
Beast Wars! Yo, Beast Wars, man!
Having access to the original Super Friends and even Transformers Beast Wars.
Holy shit, I remember fucking Beast Wars, bro. That's like Transformers, but with fucking animals instead of cars. Holy shit, bro. Man, that brings back fucking memories. I mean, looking back at it now, the animation is kind of shit, but it just brings like joy to my fucking heart. Like, holy shit, bro. Beast Wars, man.
Was cool for sure, and even moving on to get Robotech helped out. But 2 programs in particular were about to change the attention Toonami was receiving. First was the English dubbed version of
Sailor Moon and DBZ.
Of Sailor Moon, where it was already being played on another network owned by Turner, as it didn't get the viewership and ratings overall that it needed to continue over there on the USA network. This led to Toonami being offered to be the new home for Sailor Moon, where it started to get the attention that the network needed to be able to...
You know, the weird thing is, they never aired the final series of Sailor Moon. I think it was called Sailor Stars. I don't know why. I think it was because back then, like, if it had to keep rolling, it would probably like hit 2000 or 2001 or something like that, because Sailor Moon lasted a while, you know? But I think it was because, you know, they had girls that transformed into guys or vice versa. So I guess they didn't want to bring up that the trans thing back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. It was way too early for that. So that's probably my guess. That was the only, I didn't even know that series even existed until like decades later of my life, you know?
to push for more in order to grow. That summer, Sailor Moon helped bring in enough leverage for the Toonami crew to not just ask for, but heavily push for getting Dragon Ball Z to be added into the rotation. Both
Best decision ever.
Jason really wanted to get Dragon Ball Z. It was a show that Sean would wake up early to watch when he was younger, when it would be played only on a local channel, early in the mornings, as he had the thought that if he was doing this back then there were others like him doing the same.
You gotta remember, guys, DBZ, original DBZ, this DBZ, or like DB, Dragon Ball, that shit came out in like 87. I think it was between 87 and 89. So what I got in 1998 when they aired DBZ was just a rerun. When it first aired in 1998, DBZ, all of it, not even just DBZ, I think DBGT also, it was all done. Everything was over. Like the series was just completed in Japan, but we were just receiving it and getting it right now. So yeah, food for thought.
If they were able to make it more accessible for a Western audience to watch Dragon Ball Z and play it at a time slot in the mid-afternoon on a highly watched network as opposed to a random early morning time slot on a local...
I think I would have loved to fucking hear the original DBZ opening, man. You know, like... some American dub versions, like
Dragon Ball Z, Dragon, come,
or some shit like that, you know? I don't know why back then, guys, they dubbed a lot of shit, including the music. It's like, I don't understand. It would have been so cool to listen to Japanese music back then, but I guess they weren't banking on it. They probably thought like, hey, maybe the audience might not like this type of music. They might not understand. It's a foreign language, but I guarantee it would have opened a lot of doors. I probably would have been, I probably would have learned Japanese a lot sooner if I would have heard that type of music. You know what I mean?
Channel, this would be huge. And they were right. This was huge, as in 1998, Japanese properties and Japanese animation were making their way over to the States, and kids as well as young adults were eating it up. The ratings would continue to go up and more people would be tuning into Toonami for a dose of action and, more importantly, a dose of anime. As we get into 1999, other shows like Reboot, The Powerpuff Girls, and Robin Warriors were a dose of anime. As we get into 1999, other shows like Reboot,
Reboot, I remember another one. Holy shit, they started like pushing little by little, like these 3D like cartoons and shit like that. B-Sword and Reboot. Holy shit, the nostalgia just hit me hard, bruh. Holy fuck, man.
Puff Girls and Robin Warriors were added to the mix of programs that were played. This created a healthy balance of shows from both regions being in this couple-hour mix. But Dragon Ball Z alone would bring in the eyes that the network loved to see, providing some of the highest viewed broadcasts that made Cartoon Network on a level of viewership more or less to Nickelodeon at the time. They even premiered movies on some Fridays, with the first being Batman Mask of the Phantasm. While not directly following the anime flow, that is a great movie and I think it fits the vibe. Toonami was hot and it was getting noticed.
Really? I thought that would be more on Kids WB since they have the rights to Batman the Animated Series. Like, really? Shit. I had no idea.
With some semi-edited versions of Dragon Ball Z movies being played, it began to expose another side of anime to Western audiences who were now invested. What we were receiving to watch on TV were not the original versions of the program. Now, Toonami began pushing some limits, but the key word here is limits.
Heavily fucking like censored and shit like that. Like when I saw the original years ago, there's a lot of fucking blood and dismemberment. Well, more blood here in the original Dragon Ball Z. They cut all that shit out and there wasn't even blood at all with the original Dragon Ball Z when it aired on Toonami. So I could see that. I could see why.
These were still not the uncut versions that are now known. The popularity of Dragon Ball Z, along with anime in general in the States at the time, garnered a level of credibility to this field of animation.
Only Toonami.
But now it's nearly the end of the decade, and in July of 1999, Toonami had a bit of a revamp, sunsetting Moltar and introducing a little robot fella named Tom, who was now voiced by Sonny Strait. Along with this, the setting of Toonami was now aboard this spacecraft called the Absolution, as the new host welcomed Toonami fans in with a brief introduction, calling this the brand new Toonami, but with the mission of staying the same with what to expect. Tom was there to usher us into the new millennium right around the corner, promising the same shows you already like and the same attitude to go along with it. Sean and Jason were beginning to both enjoy the success of their programming block, but also deal with the more forceful oversight from their higher-ups. Sure, companies like Bandai would hit them up looking to bring a new version of Gundam stateside, hoping that Toonami is the perfect place to springboard the program to fans, and that's great. But with this much attention...
Oh man, I think this was called G Gundam. G Gundam was like my first introduction to... No, it was not G Gundam. Mobile Suit Gundam, excuse me. Mobile Suit Gundam. My first introduction to the Gundam series. You know, this was the first, like the animated series and the movie that they also aired on Toonami called Endless Waltz. You know, they also aired G Gundam later on, and then like the last, actually that wasn't the last Gundam I ever watched. The last Gundam I ever watched was Gundam 00, but that was on another channel. That has nothing to do with Toonami. Let's continue.
They would be forced to show certain other programs because while they may run Toonami, they don't own it. None of this was remotely bad enough in their back and forth
Tenchi series,
and something great did happen, and that was the introduction of Midnight Run, which would play more uncensored and uncut versions of anime, making it a good alternative to still deliver the goods that people wanted in both formats. Toonami was being viewed as the spot to connect yourself for celebrating other forms of animation, but through multiple mediums, as they would even get the chance to work with Gorillaz and Daft Punk for their animated music.
Yes, I'm glad he mentioned that shit. I'm glad he mentioned it. What he's about to mention is that back in like 2000 or 2001, they basically not introduced because they've been around for a while. They wanted to like give like a little bit of like a Toonami special where they showed different types of music artists, which was Gorillaz and Daft Punk. They basically showed the first 3 music videos of Daft Punk, which is One More Time, another one, and 2 others that I'm drawing blanks on. And then they also showed Daft Punk, not Daft Punk, excuse me, Gorillaz, Clint Eastwood, 19/2001, and I think one more that I'm drawing a blank on. And then a year later, they showed the 4th Daft Punk video, because there was 4 altogether. It's kind of like a story. So yeah, that was my first introduction to Daft Punk and Gorillaz because of Toonami.
Greetings, we are Daft Punk. Check out our new animated music videos on Toonami.com.
Been a long time since we brought the noise. Thought we'd drop some beats and the summer with a bang. Finally, Friday, August 31st at midnight, we're breaking off a full hour of animated music videos in a Midnight Run special edition. We got the first 3 Daft Punk videos and the world premiere of the 4th.
Harder, better, faster, stronger.
Plus all 3 Gorillaz videos, including Clint Eastwood, and Toonami videos you've never seen before. Ain't nothing changed.
He fit right in and played into the perfect midnight vibe.
Yep,
run.
there it is.
Daft Punk even brought some of their music videos to premiere first on Toonami, and soon after, Gorillaz did the same thing. Today, both those names in music are extremely well known and largely celebrated, but back then, those levels of fame weren't there, and they saw Toonami as the direct place to help push their music and music videos out to a wider audience. This led to Toonami taking 1 hour of their Midnight Run block to be focused on introducing music in a way that wouldn't interfere with what their usual broadcasts would be, and keep the network happy since it wouldn't affect their ratings directly, being at the time that these would be shown. This was influential in the way that people would be discovering music at the time, and for a generation now growing up with the curations of art found through Toonami. There were people finding their own new tastes from it. Toonami was quickly becoming known as the tastemakers of the turn of the century. As we enter into the year 2000, the explosion of the brand would continue further. While you had stuff like Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series getting some love during the block, the explosion of anime was more prevalent than ever. G-Force Guardians of Space, a few Tenchi series, Blue Submarine No. 6.
I'm glad he mentioned Blue Submarine No. 6, bro. It wasn't a long-ass series. It was like maybe 6 or 7. No, it wasn't that long of a series. I'm probably like butchering it. But not many people remember Blue Submarine No. 6 or the Tenchi series. There was a lot of Tenchi series. There was Tenchi Muyo, Tenchi in Tokyo, and Tenchi Universe. And a few OVAs as well. I'm glad oh my god, this guy knows his shit, bro. He's probably old like me.
Ever. G-Force Guardians of Space, a few Tenchi series, Blue Submarine No. 6, and Mobile Suit Gundam Wing would all join in on the broadcast slate. To upgrade the brand further, we got to experience the first ever TIE, or Total Immersion event, which would only focus on Tom and subsequently Sarah, voiced by Sally Timms, who was brought into the series during this first event here as this AI companion for Tom.
You know what? Come with me.
The first event premiered on September 18th, 2000, and was known as The Intruder, and snippets of the story aired throughout the week during the broadcast until the 22nd. Where
I remember this like it was yesterday.
Each part of the Intruder story ended with a password to play a flash game on the Toonami website, where you would try and save these other robots as well as yourself.
Early internet back then. Early internet games with flash.
Tom and Sarah find themselves dealing with this mysterious intruder, having interactions with it, trying
the
to
red
stop it
glob
from eating up everything and destroying the ship. In part 4, we end on Tom screaming in pain while being consumed by this hungry blob, leading to the reveal in part 5 that Tom actually dies, and Sarah downloads him and places his data into a new, sleeker body called Tom 2. This taller Tom was now voiced by the iconic voice you may remember Tom for the most, Steve Bloom. To add on to this event and get more crowd participation for those engaged with Toonami, there was a phone number listed on the next broadcast to vote for which new engine Tom 2 should get for their ship repairs.
I also remember that shit.
Later, that decision was showcased, and a few weeks after that, the repairs were done, leaving a little piece of the Intruder floating by as it says, "The end?" with a question mark. Toonami found a way to keep you engaged with a CG host that gets a really cool upgrade and listens to things that are viewer voted to change how they happen. Plus for now, Toonami received an extra hour for their programming block, running on weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m. now. They were all having fun trying new and different things with Toonami, and this event proved...
A little later on, like after a few more years, they just switched completely to like Saturdays. He's gonna talk about it. Definitely, he's gonna talk about it.
If they were tasked to make something with the original character of Tom, given a budget and allowed to create a story with him, that they could do it. This leads us to 2001, where quite a few things happened for the Toonami brand, with more shows coming like Outlaw Star, The Big O, 3 Mobile Suit Gundam series, Batman Beyond, Zoid's New Century, Card Captors, and most importantly for them, Dragon Ball, as this would be a great way to introduce fans of Dragon Ball Z to the original Dragon Ball series that leads into it.
See what I mean? Back then, they showed Dragon Ball Z first before Dragon Ball. I think it was a smart move too, because if they would have showed Dragon Ball, it's a little less violent compared to Dragon Ball Z. I think airing DBZ first as a size to DB probably was the best move in my honest opinion.
Higher-ups wanted to expand Toonami out and bring it over to a special block on Kids WB, which caused the regular 4 to 7 p.m. block.
But Outlaw Star was my shit though.
Network go to a 5 to 7 p.m. block to allow time for the creation of this new channel block. In July of 2001, this new Toonami block would take over a bit of Kids WB, but had one specific flaw. The branding around Toonami works thanks to how greatly it's paired to the content that it houses, and for Kids WB, the anime aspect wasn't there as much. While sure, Pokemon fits the anime bill, it really was taking over time slots that could be used to showcase other programs. There would be glimpses of some other anime here and there, but the majority were cartoons like X-Men Evolution, Jackie Chan Adventures, Batman Beyond, and Scooby-Doo. They also tried to infuse the music aspect of Toonami by mashing up clips from several showcase shows like Card Captors or X-Men to create these odd music videos called Toonami tracks. While some of these shows could be classified as action, most of them leaned more towards the comedy
I remember that a little bit. It was kind of cringe, you know. I wasn't feeling it, to be honest, you know. But they really pulled that shit. They tried to do something like that, like a collaboration type of thing, like Western and Eastern combine it. I don't think it really worked that well.
Audience could tell that something was off. This wasn't what they expected from Toonami, and this was becoming a problem for the networks to push other types of shows onto the Toonami brand. But while this was happening, the regular spot on Cartoon Network for Toonami was pushing strong. Come September, the second TIE titled Lockdown took place. This event was a lot bigger as it worked alongside a tie-in game called Lockdown as well, where each day a new part of the game unlocked.
I really remember Lockdown, to be honest.
I really remember this event. This was another huge hit that included a sweepstakes sponsored by Nintendo in promotion for their new console, the GameCube. 300 winners would win a GameCube branded shirt, 150 winners would win a GameCube game, and 10 lucky winners would receive a GameCube along with 6 games. The mainstream attention of Toonami was there. The network knew this and the brands took notice. To get deals like this though, the Toonami team was told to make their brand bigger to propose the ideas of what you have to more brands, which led to the idea of this Lockdown game in the first place, giving viewers a chance to feel like they are actively helping Tom out and are a part of the story taking place. It was genius as it asked the audience directly to have fun in a different medium instead of just voting on something arbitrary.
I wish I could have played that, bro. I honestly cannot remember that game for shit. I remember the first one, but I don't remember this one.
Kept coming with Hamtaro, Zoid's Chaotic
Hamtaro, remember
Mobile Fire
correctly?
G Gundam, as well as playing episodes of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Transformers Armada, and G.I. Joe. But even more exciting, getting to show episodes of a newer Cartoon Network classic, Samurai Jack.
Yes. I remember exactly when this fucking TV show first aired, bro. It was so disappointing that it took them almost more than a decade to finish the series off, bro.
This year, or upside, whichever way you want to look at it, was the ending of the Kids WB version of Toonami. By the end of June, the block went away, and because of this, the main Toonami block on Cartoon Network received its extra hour back, returning to a 4 to 7 p.m. programming block. The next TIE took place, and another game and another sweepstakes with Nintendo happened as well. It was still for the GameCube, but mainly to promote Super Mario Sunshine. For 2003, the year started off great, getting to celebrate Giant Robot Week, where anime with giant mechs were at the front of the line with programming. Getting a chance for Toonami to air special showings of Neon Genesis Evangelion, Gigantor, Daiguard, Martian...
I hate that shit because they only showed 3 episodes. They never showed the entire fucking series. Only 3 episodes they ever aired.
Successor Nadesco, and even bringing back Robotech. This greatly introduced even more anime for those not in the know of some of them. Toonami's iconic hip-hop inspired beats were released on a special CD titled Toonami Deep Space Bass. Tom even got a bit of an upgrade, bringing him to Tom 3, an even more muscular designed version that can age up with the CG a bit. This was also a big year for the new add-ons for broadcast. Justice League, Star Wars Clone Wars, Cyborg 009, the Cyborg
another
Soldier,
one I remember, Cyborg 009, Samurai X or Rurouni Kenshin.
Rurouni Kenshin, Yu Yu Hakusho, Superior Defense.
God, I started watching Yu Yu Hakusho like during the Saturday night blocks. That's when I really started, like 03 or 04, I believe.
Under Gundam Force, Dot Hack Sign, and another Dragon Ball.
The Dot Hack series was fucking so big. There was like 3 Dot Hack series back then. There was Dot Hack Legend of the Twilight Bracelet, there was Dot Hack Sign, and then Dot Hack GU. I think Dot Hack Legend was the first one that they aired. It wasn't even on Toonami. It was like super early, like 5 o'clock in the morning. So unless you had a DVR, you don't know what a DVR is, a digital video recorder. You could basically record all the, not all, one fucking TV show at a time back in like the early 2000s. It's not like now, you know?
Ball series with Dragon Ball GT coming into the mix.
Yep.
Whether you like it or hate it, that series was brought out on Toonami. Instead of having another regular TIE this year, they instead delivered an original
IGPX, yep. A lot of people don't know that one of the fucking English voice casters was the girl who plays she's from the Fast and Furious, something Mendez or something like that. She was the love interest of the guy who always says family, of Vin Diesel. What's her face? I forgot her name. My bad. I'm blanking on her name. She's
segmented pilot miniseries for an anime that Sean and Jason produced with Production IG, called IGPX, or Immortal Grand Prix, which surely was different from what fans of Toonami were expecting, but seeing that the minds behind Toonami were doing this was pretty cool, even if a younger me had no clue that was the case. But this specific TIE will play into something down the road. 2004 changed things up. Come April of that year, the weekday afternoons for Toonami were taken away and moved to a singular Saturday night slot that ran from 7 to 11 p.m., while the somewhat similar but more toned down Maguzi block took its place. The move was made to follow the aging up of its audience, thinking that those who watch would prefer a late-night weekend production over an every weekday mid-afternoon one. Sarah received a new look now along with a new voice actress, Samantha Robson, and the newest programs this year were Duel Masters, Mobile Suit Gundam Seed, Justice League Unlimited, Transformers Energon, Astro Boy, Rave Master, Jackie Chan Adventures,
oh, Rave Master, dude! Holy shit, how can I forget about Rave Master, man? Oh, bro, if you don't know what Rave Master is, guys, they're basically the precursor of Fairy Tail. That anime series. I never watched Fairy Tail, but I sure as hell watched Rave Master. And of course, Teen Titans, bro. The older Teen Titans, not that new little chibi shit.
And Megas XLR. Over the next couple years, things were pretty much the same, having this special dedicated weekend block and adding plenty of new shows as 2005 brought us Dice, The Batman, the uncut version of Dragon Ball Z, Transformer, Cybertron, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Zatch Bell, One Piece, Naruto, Bobobo, and the full version of IGPX after it was teased with that micro-series back in 2003. So a nice offering of some well-known properties and helping start off a lot of kids.
Oh man, Zatch Bell was actually pretty poppin' though, but they never showed the entire series. They cut it like after like 100 and something episodes. Again, I don't know why they did it. Maybe the ratings dropped or something.
Kids in America's obsession with Naruto headbands, but also getting to see the uncut version of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah, Naruto really fucking blew up when it first aired in 04 or 05, I think, on Toonami.
Was a big deal. Cartoon Network allowed it thanks to its newer later runtime. 2006 brought us Woolen Warriors, The Prince of Tennis, Fantastic Four, World's Greatest Superheroes, Mar, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and both Pokemon Battle Frontier. And
I don't get it. Why is Pokemon, and I don't remember this that much, bro. Why is Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! On Toonami? You know, those were specifically Kids WB. You know, Pokemon have been on Kids WB since 1998, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been with Kids WB since 2001. Was there like a collaboration, or did they just buy the property from Kids WB? Because I forgot to mention, I don't think they went under yet. Because a little later on in the future, like a little later on, not before or not after. Fuck, I'm drawing a blank here, bro. I'm fucking stuttering like a motherfucker. They go under. The Kids WB does go under, but I don't know if it was before or after Toonami. That's the thing I don't know about. But definitely, that's definitely a Kids WB thing, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!
Pokemon Chronicles. It wasn't until 2007 where things became interesting enough to bring up, as this would be the 10-year anniversary of Toonami starting. It was hyped up, and when the date came around to celebrate it, we were introduced to Tom 4, bringing along...
I hated that fucking Tom, bro. I hated that Tom, man.
Other main robots hanging out with him, Flash, voiced by Dave Wittenberg, and Dee, voiced by Tom Kenny. The year didn't add much new to its already solid rotation of animation.
There was nothing new except just more Naruto.
Adding in Mega Man Star Force and Stormhawks,
Barely
but
ever
the future
saw
seemed
that.
pretty great for the programming block. It even celebrated the anniversary with special movie premieres every week in March that year. But come 2008, this wouldn't be the case. With only a few more additions like Bakugan Battle Brawlers, Blue Dragon, and Ben 10 Alien Force, things seemed
was not interested in any of those shows at all. I was 17 in 08.
Bit off. The year was going by just fine, but on September 20th at a convention called Anime Week in Atlanta, Cartoon Network dropped the sad news that Toonami was officially going to end, pointing to low ratings being the cause. And literally, that same night, Toonami aired their final broadcast, with the end of it having...
I remember this, bro. I actually recorded it on the DVR, their final broadcast, man. That shit was sad as fuck, man. But I think I know the reason why. It was because it may be not how it is today, but back then, like, the emergence of the internet getting better and shit like that, the emergence of like pirated sites. Like a lot of people don't seem to understand that Crunchyroll was a pirated site back then. I'm not sure if they were around in '08, but there were sites back then where they basically showed a lot of fucking anime and you can get access to it. Might not have been as fast as, what we have now. Hell, even YouTube, you could watch anime and you could watch it a lot sooner than, once every single week and shit like that. Food for thought.
A final farewell from Tom himself, saying goodbye after 11 years, hoping you have made some unforgettable memories and to stay gold. And those words were held onto by everyone watching something so special from their childhood and so suddenly before their eyes. And just like that, Toonami was gone.
Until we meet again, stay gold. Bang.
Years went by, and Toonami did become this distant memory. But enter in Adult
Yep, Adult Swim. Basically, Adult Swim came out in 2001. They showed a lot more raunchier, like not sexual raunchy, but like more violent anime compared to Toonami, as in blood and gore and stuff like that, dismemberment and shit like that, up to an extent,
Swim, another programming block on Cartoon Network that would control the late night and early morning scene with teen and adult programs, making the clear cut at the end of the day when kid entertainment ends and when the older crowd can flip on the channel. Starting in the early 2000s as well, Adult Swim was conceived by Mike Lazo, as there is a connection here to leverage one programming block to bring back another. April Fool's Day for Adult Swim is always a night
Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This is Sheikh Zula.
Of whatever weird they can come up with, and people enjoy the shenanigans that they pull. But this next one was different, as it could be pulling on heartstrings more than anything. On April 1st, 2012, Adult Swim just played a Toonami block consisting of Dragon Ball Z.
I remember this, bro. They started playing DBZ, Blue Submarine number 6, a Tenchi series, and some other shit that only was for Toonami. When I was 20, if it was 2012, I was 21. I was just watching TV late at night, just chilling out. And all of a sudden, I'm like, what the fuck is this? I don't remember this. Because I think Bleach was still playing on at the time on Adult Swim. And I was like, what the fuck is Dragon Ball Z? Why is it, what is Blue Submarine number 6 doing here? What, the Tenchi series? What the fuck is going on? That was my fucking reaction. Like, what is this shit? And I was just glued to the TV till like 5 in the morning, bro.
Yu Yu Hakusho, and other classics that you would find on Toonami, full with the Toonami branding and everything. And as fun as this was to revisit Toonami, it wasn't just some joke to do so. In fact, it was a secret attempt to get people interested in bringing back Toonami. As social media was really becoming a staple part of everyday life, Adult Swim put the power onto the people to get their voices heard, saying on Twitter that if you want Toonami back, use the hashtag #BringBackToonami. People sure made their voices heard. When Sean and Jason became aware that the
I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I personally didn't want Toonami to come back. The thing is, Toonami was good for its time, I'll go into it a little bit deeper after the video.
Fool's joke was to play some old school Toonami, they got excited over the fact that this could be a way to revive the whole thing. And then they watched as the internet overnight exploded with support of Toonami. And with that, the hashtags wanting to bring it back. It was so demanded and so well received that literally the following week, bumpers on Adult Swim stated, "We're listening and we're looking into it." Cut to May 26, 2012, where Toonami was officially back and on the air. And with that, an onslaught of shows. Throughout 2012, the programming block had Bleach, Deadman Wonderland, Cowboy Bebop, Thundercats, Inuyasha, Casher and Sin, Samurai 7, Bionic Titan, Eureka 7, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Ghost in the Shell series.
Oh my god, Adult Swim also had some fucking bangers like Ghost in the Shell, Wolf's Rain, Bleach, a Trigun, fucking they aired more Outlaw Star, but holy fuck, bro. Inuyasha, which was I hold a special place in my heart for Inuyasha, bro. I really do.
Tenchi Muyo GXP and the uncut version.
I never saw Tenchi Muyo GXP. I saw it on some website and shit like that. I didn't even know that they aired it on Adult Swim / Toonami.
Naruto. It was a fierce return, and the fans of Toonami ate it up, welcoming new fans to join in on it as well. Toonami even expanded to over 6 hours in October of that year. It was great all around. Coming into 2013, Tom 5 premiered along with a new but older look for Sarah, for her third variant voiced by Dana Swanson. Soul Eater, Fooly Cooly, The Big O2, Star Wars...
Fooly Cooly, of course. But Fooly Cooly came way earlier, back in 2003 on Adult Swim, man. So this is more just a rebroadcasting, which was okay. And when it came to Soul Eater, what he just sold right now,
for her third variant voiced by Dana Swanson, Soul Eater,
I personally watched it on Netflix years later. Way fucking later. Like, no, actually, no. I scratched that. I take that back. I saw this shit on Netflix Yeah, I don't remember if it was earlier or later, but I didn't see it on Toonami/Adult Swim. I saw it on Netflix. Because back then, Netflix had a lot of fucking anime as well.
Fooly Cooly, The Big O2, Star Wars The Clone Wars, Sword Art
Big
Online,
O what?
Soul Eater, Fooly Cooly, The Big O2.
I don't remember the Big O2. I saw Big O and then that's it.
Star Wars The Clone Wars, Sword Art Online, the return of IGPX, and even the uncut version of One Piece started to flood into the programming block.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I kind of, when they left, well, not when they left, when they made that little April Fool's gag of Toonami showing all, like, they might come back and merging with Adult Swim, I kind of lost interest because I started watching anime elsewhere. There are different sites, like, for example, Kiss Anime. Kiss Anime is what I used to watch anime from, and I used to get all the animes from. And back then, I stopped watching anime dubs. I started watching subs, which, in my honest opinion, is a lot better anyway.
Movies like Akira and Summer Wars were played, and everything was rolling into 2014 in high swing with not only the announcement that a new TIE was in the works to come out the following year and to be a sequel to the TIE Intruder, but even more shows were being added to the slate: Space Dandy, Blue Exorcist, 2 Black Lagoon series, Beware the Batman, Inuyasha the Final Act, Hellsing Ultimate.
I hate the fact that it took him so long to make Inuyasha the Final Act air on Adult Swim. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. The original one came on in, the original Japanese release came out in 2009. And they released that shit like in 2014 or 2015. Like, seriously, dude, that was the only time I made an exception on watching the dub. Because I grew up watching Inuyasha with the English dub. And they brought all the original English, like, dub casts back. So I was happy about that.
Gurren Lagann, Attack on Titan, Dragon Ball Z Kai Uncut, the original 4 seasons of Samurai Jack, and the uncut version of Naruto Shippuden.
See, all this stuff I watched online. You know, all this stuff I've been watching online. So there was no point in me going back to Toonami and just watching that shit again. You know?
2015, however, Toonami was shrunk down a bit, now running from midnight to 3:30 a.m., but things were still okay. This year brought the return of TIEs, where we got the Intruder 2 that led to a new overall look for the block. It also led to the Absolution being destroyed and Sarah dying, but she was put into the computer system and now the programming block was hosted from the planet Shogo 162. Program-wise, we got the additions of Kill la Kill, Sword Art Online,
saw it on Netflix, saw it on Netflix,
Parasite the Maxim,
saw it on a site,
Akame ga Kill, and
I saw it on a site,
Ichiko and Hachin. For 2016,
I also saw that one on the site. Also saw this on the site.
One Punch Man, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Mobile Suit Gundam, Iron-Blooded Orphans.
I stopped watching Mobile Suit Gundam a long time ago. Like I mentioned, 00 was the last Gundam I ever watched.
Hunter x Hunter,
again, a site.
Samurai Champloo.
I'll admit that I did watch Samurai Champloo on, it wasn't even Toonami/Adult Swim. It was just regular Adult Swim. And this was like back in 04, 05.
And Dimension W were the newest batch of shows, and for this year, the next TIE was announced at that year's Anime Expo, where it was surprisingly another part in the Intruder series titled Intruder 3. This led to them getting a new ship, the planet they were on being destroyed, and Sarah getting a new version of herself, this time with little wings. During this year, the broadcast time shifted to 11:30 p.m. to start, ending at 3 a.m., but this would be reversed a handful of months later anyway, so nothing really significant there. They did announce another new micro-series called The Sand Whale and Me to premiere in 2017, being a joint production of Adult Swim and Production IG, and directed by Mamoru Oshii. For 2017, the length of Toonami started to grow once again, at first getting to start at 11:30 p.m. once again, and then quickly earning that start time of 11 p.m.
All these shows I've been watching online way before they broadcasted this on Toonami and Adult Swim, so, I mean, there was no point in me going back to Toonami and Adult Swim. They're just pulling on the nostalgia strings.
4.5 hours now. We also saw the addition of Dragon Ball Super, Mobile Suit Gundam
Unicorn, online,
2 Tokyo Ghoul series, Black Clover, Dragon Ball Z Kai, the final chapters, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stardust Crusaders, Lupin the Third Part 4, the Italian Adventure, Outlaw Star, and a brand new revived Samurai Jack that returned for a final 5th season.
Online.
Was a bit
I saw
more
the final
than
season online. I didn't even watch it on Toonami Adult Swim.
Series. There was another TIE titled The Countdown, where Tom gets brought to the future by his future self to help stop a corrupted version of Sarah, really building out more of the story that they have been making for Tom and Sarah as hosts of Toonami. As the year went on, more time slots were open to Toonami, but it wasn't until 2018 that it would truly get even bigger. The block earned more and more time slots on both ends, running from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m., making a solid 7 hours for Toonami to showcase all that it has. This was the peak moment of Toonami's return. After more than 5 years of being back, it has taken over once again, and has acquired the licenses to play way more anime than ever before. My Hero Academia, 2 different
online
Fooly Cooly series.
The 2 Fooly Cooly series were fucking garbage.
Pop Team Epic, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable, Mob Psycho 100.
Online, I saw it.
Megalobox and Boruto, Naruto the Next.
I don't even want to watch it.
Generations joined Toonami in 2018 as well. As 2019 rolled around, Adult Swim was biting back some of its time, as Toonami shrunk back down a bit to 5 hours long, running from 11 p.m.
now you're limiting more fucking animes that you can't air now.
To 4 a.m. now, but still having new shows like Sword Art Online Alicization,
Online, I saw it.
Lupin the Third Part 5,
Online, I saw it.
Fire Force, Genlock,
Online, I saw it.
Dr. Stone, The Promised Neverland,
Online, I saw it. Online. All of these shits online, minus the Gundam.
Comet, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Golden Wind, and Demon Slayer.
Online. All this shit I saw online. I didn't need a Toonami and Adult Swim, bro.
We got another TIE called The Forge, which is where Tom was created, and also killed again, bringing us Tom 6, thanks to Sarah using The Forge. And then Toonami got an extra half an hour back, running until 4:30 a.m. again. Entering into the 2020s, these time slots would constantly be played with, going up and down and up again, but it would roughly even itself out around being a 4-hour-long block from midnight to 4 a.m. From 2020 to present day of making this video, Toonami has continued to
I'm curious about this.
Add more anime and other shows to their run, and things in general have been running as good as they always have. While there wasn't a TIE in 2020, 2021 had the next TIE titled Cosmo Samurai, and was advertised as a non-canonical event that featured the Toonami characters, and it was done in a full traditional anime style. This carried on for the 2022 TIE that had Cosmo Samurai 2, but right after that ended, the following weeks would air another TIE, this time titled The Return. This one was canonical and had Tom trying to come to terms with there being many Toms that exist, when a ghost from the past arrives, being the original Absolution spaceship that we know is being destroyed, as we see the original Sarah AI from 19 years ago glitched onto the screen, as the ship then gets shown to actually be from 200.
See, there you go. They're pulling on the fucking heartstrings of the nostalgia, bro. They're pulling on the heartstring of all the fucking millennials, bro.
150 years in the future, having more powerful capabilities to intergalactically travel, donning the new name of the GPS Absolution Mark 14 as we continue the Toonami broadcasts as usual. As of 2023, Toonami is still running stronger than ever, having new anime and other shows premiering all the time and just celebrating all that makes Toonami special. Over the years since its comeback, Toonami has been the main hub that is accessible to so many for new and old anime to be presented. It's not just the classics it embraces, but all the new stuff as well, which to some can feel like it takes away the nostalgia factor of it, but to others, this is their first exposure to a lot of this anime, much like it was to me and to a lot of you back in the day during Toonami's original run. And I think that feeling,
I don't know, I kind of disagree on that one.
and those moments are special. Currently, Toonami still runs on Saturday nights from midnight to 4 a.m., offering an ever-growing lineup of new and classic anime plus a whole lot more. It really is amazing to see quite the comeback for a programming block that originally was just meant to end and be a thing of the past. But through an April Fool's joke that really wasn't a joke, the fans made it possible for the network to actually listen and bring back Toonami, with more support than it ever received initially. It wasn't just the programs it played, it wasn't just the vibe that the host segments created, it was the all-around encompassing of different forms of media for you to discover. Sure, there was anime, which is a big part of it, but the music created for the show, along with the music played during the music video segments, really helped shape some new discovery within the various sounds out there. The video game reviews that would happen gave you your own little slice of G4 here, getting to see a showcase of many different video games and their reviews of them, mainly put together by Jason himself, and there was always some sort of sweepstakes going on to take place in, and it felt that
that was pretty dope back then, like in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Toonami was there for one thing and one thing only, you, the viewer, to have an experience, discovering new things to love and build lifelong memories from. Whether you first discovered Toonami during its original run or found yourself getting into it because of its return, the same universal feelings of it can be shared by us all. Toonami was a crucial part of my childhood, and I think
mine too, dude. Mine
too. Much, from anime to some music and even a few video games. I would love to know your experiences with Toonami as well. When did you discover it, and what did you discover from it? Tell me in the comments. As always, I've been Jordan Fringe. Thanks so much.
Yo, good fucking video by Jordan Fringe, bro. But guys, like I was saying, Toonami was good for its time. You know, the reason why Toonami existed in the first place is because people could not get access to anime so easy, not like in today's day and age. Back in 1998, 97, 98, where the fuck was somebody supposed to get anime from? Like, they mentioned a few broadcast channels that they aired anime from, but that's so, like, maybe 1, 2, 3 at best, you know, and there weren't that many channels back then either. And the only way you can get anime is if you had a connection to Japan where you can go and just get all types of anime, or there was like a secret shop or like a small little like mom and pop shop or something like that where they just get anime cassettes and stuff, and then you could just binge watch. And most of them probably didn't even have dubs. You were lucky if they had not dubs, excuse me, subs, yet alone dubs. You were lucky if they got dubs. And yeah, it's not like I mentioned before, a lot of the anime, like when they started showing like after 2012, like maybe 2015, 16, all these animes I started watching online. Shout out to Kiss Anime, bro. Even actually, rest in peace, also Kiss Anime, because they got fucking defunct. But back then, Kiss Anime, I always go to Kiss Anime to just watch every single one of those animes that he just mentioned, the old stuff and the new stuff. With that being said, there was no reason for me to go back and watch Toonami and Adult Swim. Maybe the nostalgia factor, maybe, and the last nostalgia factor was when they did that April Fool's prank thing. That was the only time I watched it. Other than that, and excuse me, and when they aired Inuyasha the Final Act, which was in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. Other than that, I never went back to and watched like the Midnight Toonami / Adult Swim, because now they're one entity now, basically. And there was no point, because I could just easily just go on my phone or my TV, or not TV, my laptop, my tablet. I can just go anywhere and just watch anime. Easily watch anime instead of waiting once a week for a new episode. I could just watch the entire, like most episodes in one single go. There's no reason for me to have it. But that doesn't mean that that I didn't like Toonami or Adult Swim, or Toonami specifically, because Toonami basically made my childhood. Toonami was the reason why I got into anime in the first place, and they'll always have a special place in my fucking heart, you know. But they should have just ended it at when it ended, like back 11 years ago, like in 2000. Oh, so like what was it? Shit, when did it? Like 08, I believe, 11-year run. They should have just ended it there, because technology was getting better and better and better, and there was no reason for Toonami to even exist. Come on, they're not going to be able to compete with anime that they can get online at a pirate site or Crunchyroll. I fucking hate mentioning Crunchyroll, but they can't, you know? That doesn't mean that they weren't good at all. And they're still, like, they're okay, like, for some people that actually want to check them out, the newer generation. But for me, there's really no point. So yeah, shout out to Jordan Fringe though, bro. Good fucking video. Really took me down nostalgia lane, bro.